Okay, we're making progress, but let's stay on track. We're trying to build a blog here, so I want to see a blog post on the page. Maybe that's the next step. Okay, well, let's go to Routes, Web. We have an endpoint here. When you visit the home page, load the welcome view. Why don't we change that though? Why don't we call it Posts? The only problem is, of course, we've changed the name, which means there is no view called Post setup. And notice this nice error page that tells you everything you need to know about what went wrong. And notice often you get little solutions here. Are you sure the view exists? Well, let's check. Resources, views, and of course not. There is no view called posts. I'll change it to posts.blade.php. And if we switch back, there we go. And we get that alert again. Now, why don't we do this? In my public directory, let's get rid of that example JavaScript file. I can return to views posts, and we can get rid of the reference there. And then finally, in app.css right here, let's go with something basic. Background of white and color of black. If I switch back, that's fine. Okay, so now back to posts. Let's create an article here. My first post, and then a bit of lorem text here. Okay, so if I switch back, here's our first post. Let's make it look a little prettier. So we'll go to app.css, and we'll say on the body, why don't we set a maximum width of how about 600 pixels? And then I'll set the margins to auto, and that'll force it to the center. Just like that. Next, let's set the font family. Sans serif is fine. Okay. And then on the paragraph tags, how about a line height of 1.7? Or maybe a little less. All right, if I switch back, all right, your first blog post. It's not in a database, it's not dynamic, it's not the most pretty thing in the world, but it gets the job done. The only problem though is you're surely going to write more than one blog post. So let's figure that out. Well, why don't we just duplicate this? We're going to add another one for your second blog post. Let's see what that looks like. Refresh. Yeah, maybe a little spacing would be good. So I will come back and we'll say, how about this? Article, and then I'm going to use plus to get every article that comes after it. So basically every article except the first one. And we'll add some margin top. How about something like 3 rems? Come back, give it a refresh, and that'll push it down just a little bit. All right. If you want, you could even add a little border. So border top, 1 pixel solid, grayish. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah. And maybe we could even say margin and padding of 3 rems. And that'll give it some even spacing, as you see there. There's your first, there's your second, and then just for kicks, let's do one more for your third post. Refresh, first, second, third. So now let's think about it. With a typical blog, you'll see your posts. Usually this won't be the full thing, it'll be an excerpt. We'll figure that out. And then when you click on the title, that takes you to a new page with the full blog post you can read. It sounds like we need a new route. Let's figure this out. We'll come back to Routes, Web, and let's write your first route, because remember, you got this one for free. Let's say when the user makes a GET request to, how about, let's keep it really simple. We'll call it post. Then once again, it looks like we load a function. We're just copying what we see up here. We're going to return a view, and this time it won't be posts, it'll be post. All right, so let's see what happens. I'm going to come back, and let's say we'll start with this first one. This will now be a link to post. And let's do this. Let me copy that and then update these. Second, third. All right, let's see what happens now. Refresh. They're now clickable. We'll go to the first post. It doesn't work. View post not found. All right, let's create the post. I'm going to add a new file, post.blade.php. Now, you might be used to post.html or post.php. Post.blade.php is a specific type, and it uses something Laravel provides called Blade, and I'll teach you about that later. We're not quite there yet. So now, how do we do this? Do we have to copy all of this HTML? Well, let's do it one more time, and then we'll figure out how to solve that particular problem. This page should only show a single post like that, and I'll re-indent. And let's do an auto format here too. Okay, are we all on the same page? Let's come back, cross our fingers, and there's your post. But now, how do I get back? Well, I could do the back button, but how do I otherwise get back? Maybe we could add a little link down here. Okay, let's hide the sidebar, and we'll say, how about right here? Add an anchor tag, and that's going to go to the home page. And we'll say, go back. Easy enough. Give it a refresh, go back, and you had the beginnings of a blog. The only problem is because we've hard-coded this post, well, it works for that one. Even a broken clock is right twice, right? But it's not going to work for any of these others. Notice I click on my third post and we still see what we hard-coded here. All right, let's figure out how to solve that problem in the next episode.